Welcome to the Lucha Lounge. I'm your host, Steve DeMarco. I hope everybody's enjoying their Sunday fun day, or maybe your Monday is your fun day. Either way, I hope you're enjoying not just your day, your week, your month, your year. I'm just hoping you're enjoying them. Now, I really lucked out this week. I wasn't sure if I was going to have a guest. I wasn't sure. I really started to think about topics of what I was going to discuss. Was I going to discuss Lucha Underground, Ultimo Lucha Dos? Night 2, was I going to discuss Impact Wrestling, the aftermath of Hardy versus Hardy. Was going to talk about or compare the Hardy versus Hardy final deletion match against the Wyatt family New Day compound visit. I had some stuff. Was I going to break down Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition? Now that I've gotten to see it a couple of times, no. I like that. I was going to probably talk about all that and have this, because again, I wasn't really sure who my guest was, but as I mentioned, I lucked out. Well, before I get to talking about my guest, let me talk about a little bit of business. Now, I'm taping this right after I just got home from traveling from Booker T's World Gym Arena, or World Gym Arena featuring Booker T, either way, however you want to put it. After another night, excellent night of television taping, it was just great to be a part of it, great to be on hand for it. We saw quite a bit going on with that. I hope all of you get to check it out when it finally airs. Again, CW 39, Sunday mornings, 11 a.m. If you don't get the chance to see that, then go on realitywrestling.com to get the last episode, or go to the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to that, just like you subscribe to the Offshoots Network, so that you can listen to my wonderful voice every Monday as I drop some, knowledge and friends and all of that, conversations and whatnot. But again, just coming back from a television taping, so I'm still, adrenaline's still kicking in. But before I forget, August 6th, Bustin' for Autism. You got House of Hardcore, Reality Wrestling, Pasadena Convention Center, the former stomping grounds of PWA, or Booker T's PWA, where we had Final Heat. But, we're doing it for a wonderful cause. House of Hardcore, Reality Wrestling, working together. Maybe there'll be a war. You never know. You'll have to go August 6th. Or you can come to Summer of Champions 3. That's right, 3. With special guest Kurt Angle. Summer of Champions 3. A big summer event. Feel free to come out there. Again, to the World Gym Arena. You definitely will not be disappointed. It will always be a jam-packed show, and that show will probably be on a whole nother level I can only imagine, again, because our special guest Kurt Angle. But more importantly, for all the fans, and if you make it then, or you can't make it to that, then obviously if you want, go to the fantasy camp August 21st. That's man, it's going to be one heck of a fantasy camp. You never know who might show up to those. But yeah, so back to this week, and what a guest that I was able to get to be on my show. It was great to get to sit down with this guy, former Reality Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, Rob Barnes. And man, he's been going through quite a bit. A lot of people don't really know, some might know. February, during our television tapings, he was injured. And it was a pretty significant injury. He didn't know. It wasn't one of those things noticeable right off the bat. He was, feeling a little stiffness. Really wasn't sure, and then it just kind of steamrolled and became quite serious. And he's really had to battle through a lot of that. Seen a lot of specialists just to kind of get to where he is today. And he was gracious enough to be on my show. I mean, it was we filmed earlier today, hours before the actual television taping. He was actually coming out to make an announcement to the Reality Wrestling fans and the nation as a whole, and letting everyone know what was down. And obviously, I think we're going to put that out. So I don't really want to spoil anything. We don't really get into what his decision is going to be. I don't really want to discuss it. I'm not going to spoil it in any one way or the other. We really get into the injury, how it happened, what he was going through at that time, kind of the severity. And then we talk about being in Australia, wrestling in Australia, getting your start in Australia. We talked about a lot of that. We talked about his move to Texas, what prompted the move, what prompted his desire to come be a part of what was then PWA, be with Booker T, and then also be part of Reality Wrestling and being one of the first, if not the first, Reality Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. We'll talk about all of that. We talk about kind of the growth of the company. It's a really good conversation, just the one part of this week, which is fine because it was really in depth, very illuminating. I really enjoyed getting to sit down with him. I've kind of thrown out some to some people about potentially being on the show, and we'll find out who potentially is going to be on the show next week. Again, I had a blast getting to sit down with him and really just kind of having a heart-to-heart about just where he's at currently, how he's feeling currently. To have that kind of decision, I've been there, and I know, kind of the struggle internally that you go through with that, and sometimes having to reach out to people that aren't necessarily in the wrestling business, people outside, people who've known you a long time, to kind of get some guidance and whatnot. So I wish this guy the best of luck in whatever he chooses and whatever he does. All I can say, man, it's been a real pleasure knowing him, and we'll see where the future takes him. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Oh, because if you do that, you will be staying cool, staying sexy, staying classy. But definitely, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy, and sit back and relax and enjoy my sit-down conversation with the former Reality Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, the none other than the Aussie himself, Rob Barnes. Until the next time, later!
There's some gel in my hair, I look fine.
Oh, man. Rob Barnes. So, today's the announcement. The big reveal, or the decision, or however we have it. And you haven't been on television for a while. We're not going to spoil it for our television audience, or for those. I mean, obviously this will air after you make the announcement to a live crowd, but let's get into why you're having to make the announcement. So, when exactly did you suffer the injury, and when did you know? Like, was it something that you knew right away that something was off, or?
Yeah.
Explain, because I know it's kind of like, I think your last match was with Parviz,
Yeah.
and after that it was kind of touch and go for a bit. So.
It was one of those things that I didn't really notice anything went wrong, and it was just a situation where I came to the back and a lot of people were asking me, like, "Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
You look like you got killed out there." And I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." Adrenaline was pumping. I didn't feel a thing.
Yeah.
Parviz, to his credit, apologized for it and said, "Hey, sorry about what happened out there." And I just kind of blew him off because I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
And it was like, now that I think about it, it was kind of like a suplex that was
It just kind of ended up almost like in a brain buster.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think much of it until maybe an hour after the match. I started feeling very stiff in my neck and stuff, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, let's be honest, we've all had a stiff neck after a match.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so it's a little stiff, so I'll just stretch it, and I'm sure it'll be fine. So I'm stretching it, and at this point in time, I was lifting the heaviest I've ever lifted. Really pushing myself in the gym every single day. I wasn't really giving myself much of a break.
Yeah.
And then I was in the ring 3-4 times in a week, still bumping, and I'll just keep stretching, I'll be fine. And it wasn't until, because I think the match was the last weekend of February.
Okay.
So just before our tapings in March, which I think was like 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
The week of, I was in the gym and pushing myself real hard.
Yeah, just a normal day.
Yeah, just doing what I do.
Yeah.
And I was working out my shoulders and I felt something just pull. And all of a sudden I just lost all the strength in my right arm. I couldn't push. And I was like, okay, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get away from the presses and just finish the rest of the shoulder workout. And I think I was trading triceps that day as well. I was like, let's just get through the shoulder. I was able to get through the shoulder part, and then when it came to the tricep workout, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so painful, and like it was getting worse. I could feel it in my neck. I was like, okay, this isn't good. Obviously, obviously something isn't good. I called up my friend Paul, who's my personal trainer, and he's also does deep tissue massage. And I said, I need you to work on me.
Yeah.
Like, right now, like I can barely move my right arm.
Yeah.
So I went to see him that day, and he massaged me. I felt a little better, and I was like, all right, do you mind if I come back, on Wednesday as well? We'll do a leg workout, and you can work on my arm.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, no problem. So I waited until Wednesday. I went back. I worked out with him, and then again he massaged me, and I felt a little better. I was like, all right, I should be good for this show.
Yeah.
I messaged Kevin. I let Kevin know that if anyone doesn't know, he's our producer.
No, everyone knows. Yeah, he's. I'm like he's our emperor, or at least like he's like the voice of God because he books up on high, and he's the.
So he's the Metatron.
Yeah. He's the only one because the book talks, your head explodes. So.
Exactly. Metatron in reality of wrestling.
He would love that for a business card.
Yeah, exactly. So I messaged him and said, look, something's happened. I think it stems from last match because my neck hasn't been right since.
Yeah.
I don't want to say no for this Saturday, but I'm just letting you know that if I'm not feeling better by Saturday, I'm not going to be able to do the match. Like, I don't want to risk furthering the injury.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, absolutely, no problem. So that night I was helping train some of the newer guys, and I wasn't bumping or anything. I was just staying clear of all that. Let's just rest up, put an ice on it. And then the Thursday before the show is when it all really just went downhill. I went into my office at work, and all of a sudden my right tricep started twitching, and then my right pec started twitching, and then my right shoulder started twitching, and I couldn't for the life of me stop it. It kept on going, and I'm thinking what was going on. I just thought maybe I was having some muscle spasms, but like it kept on getting worse. So I went, I kind of mentioned it to my receptionist. I'm like, I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, just in pain and it's twitching and I don't know what to do. I gotta see somebody, I don't know who, and she recommended a chiropractor that was close to the gym that I went to. So I said, alright, I'll go check them out. And they have a cryotherapy there. I thought, you know what, I've done that cryotherapy before when like I had some inflammation in my knees that I was like, that did help. Maybe that'll help with this. So I went to go do the cryotherapy thing, and they had a chiropractor on call at the thing. So I saw him, and he kind of was like, oh, it sounds like you got a herniated disc here, it'll probably just be stretching, blah, blah, and then like he adjusted me, and I felt something go in my fingers, and all of a sudden it was just numb in my index finger and tingling in my middle finger, in my right hand, and I was like, I think I take one.
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh, that can happen with herniated disc, that means it's pressing on a nerve. And he hooked me up to some other like electro machine to try and loosen the muscles.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, and like I felt a little bit better, and I got home, and just progressively over the night it started to get worse and worse. Where I could not find a position to find comfortable.
Yeah.
And at first ice was taking the pain away, and then all of a sudden it stopped. Like it didn't matter what I did, no matter where I lied, no matter where I sat, I was in like agony. I mean agony. I've been in pain before. I've been through surgery. Like I had some I had surgery on my wrist, and I remember the pain I felt after the surgery, trying to get to sleep at night. This was worse. This was worse. I was like, something's not right. So I was like, well, I gotta do something. Like, I couldn't even trust myself to get in the car. So I actually called JJ Blake and said, I think it was like 1 in the morning. I was like, look, I'm messed up. I cannot sleep. I'm in agony. Like, I need to get this checked out now. Of course, I still have the mindset of living in Australia where going to an ER room is not a big deal. Because I've gotten the medical bill since, and like, thank God I have travel insurance that has handled all that for me. But in my mindset, and I rang the travel insurance company before I went down. I was like, what do you suggest? And like, just go. They're like, most of the time they're gonna charge you as an outpatient, so you just send the bill to us and we'll take care of it. I was like, okay, that's what I'm doing. So I rang JJ, Katie picked me up, we went to the ER, and 7 to 8 hours later, they had given me a morphine shot for the pain and a prescription for Motrin, which I was like, ibuprofen. Like, I could have just been shoveling in normal ibuprofen.
Yeah.
So I thought that was weird, and they did an X-ray and a CT, and said there isn't much that the CT is telling us. You're going to need an MRI. So they gave me a referral to see a orthopedic. So, I went home and I tried to just relax and kept putting ice on it and put heat on it and put ice on it, hoping that would just kind of take the pain away. And I wasn't in as much agony as the night before, but I still couldn't function. Like, I couldn't drive a car. I could barely walk outside. I had to keep my head tilted like this the entire time. So obviously I can't drive a car. And so I ended up going to see the Emoji Care guys that actually look after us at the show. I got someone else to drive me to the Emergency Care, and then someone had to come pick me up, and they subscribed me some painkillers and muscle relaxants, and that was allowed me to get through the next couple of days until I got the MRI and all that. And so it wasn't until the Thursday after that I had the MRI report back. So it was a good week of not really knowing what was going on. And I sat down with the orthopedic, and he looked at the report, and I was feeling a little better by that stage, probably from all the drugs I was taking at the time, and he looked at the report and was just like, okay, so you have 4 herniated discs in your neck.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And he's like, so 2 level 3 to 4 millimeters. He's like, that's normal kind of rehab area. He's like, 1 is 4 to 5. It's like, that's, touch and go rehab area. He's like, but the main concern is your C6, C7, which is at 8 millimeters. And that's compression on the spinal cord, 8 millimeters. Not only that, it was putting pressure on my root nerve, or the foramen nerve, or whatever they call it. I don't know the medical jargon. And that was what was creating the loss of strength in my arm, and the pain was the compression on the root nerve. And he said, at 5 millimeters is when we recommend surgery. So you have one almost at 5, and you have one at 8. He's like, in my opinion, the only way to fix this would be surgery. Which is obviously not the answer I want to hear. The last thing you want is that you need surgery on your neck, or anywhere on your spine. I'd always want to try and avoid surgery at all costs.
True.
I went a year before getting my surgery. My wrist healed just because they said, "Oh, it'll probably heal on its own. It'll just take time." But he said, with the loss of strength in your right arm, it can be permanent unless you get this fixed. He's like, so, even though the pain might subside, the strength may never come back. So, I said the obvious question of, so if I don't get the surgery, there's no chance of me wrestling again. And he said no. No chance. I said, and if I get the surgery? He's like, well, I can't make any guarantees. Which I know, in terms of any surgery, I know nobody can make a guarantee.
Yeah,
obviously.
true.
So, I managed to drive myself home, and I sat here for like a good hour just thinking like, who can I talk to about this? Because, I'm here on my own, other than the people at wrestling.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to talk to a wrestler. I didn't, I
hear you.
like, it's one of those things where I was like, I want to talk to someone that's known me for years and knows me outside of wrestling.
Yeah.
So, after a little bit, I was like, well, it's 3 in the morning in Australia or whatever. Like, I can't call anybody back home. Then I remembered my best friend, James, actually lives in London.
Okay.
So a bit more of an appropriate time, like 5 p.m. at night. So I gave him a call and sat there just for about an hour, just talking about it and like what he thinks and all that. And he was like, well, like surgery, that's it. Like, what about rehab? What about everything else? And I was like, I mean, this guy just said, you need surgery. Like, he said rehab probably won't do it. I was like, well, maybe you should look at the rehab options first, at least.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's like, I can totally understand you don't want to get surgery. And to be honest with you, if I have to get surgery on my neck, is it worth it to get back in the ring?
Yeah.
Just spend all this money on a surgery on your spine.
To fix it, and then to go back and just impact the area that you just tried to make well. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was just, it's like, if it's like you should try rehab at least at first. It's like, you never know. I said, alright, that's a good point. And then many hours later, when Sydney woke up, I called my dad, I told him the news, and he pretty much gave me the same advice. He's just like, you're not getting surgery. It's like, nah, like forget that, because he's always been very heavily involved in football or soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's actually seen people with spinal injuries go under the knife, and he's like, they don't get better. Some of them don't get better.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it actually makes it worse.
Yeah.
He's like, so let's not, he's like, I would rather you have to give this up than have surgery.
Yeah.
Because, is, again, like even if you get the surgery and it's worth it, do you really want to go back and like possibly make it even worse? And I always, I agree with him. I talked to Book, and Book was pretty much the same thing. Surgery is not worth it. Try the rehab first. And I always thought, okay, well, I'm going to try rehab, and if I at least can get my strength back,
Mm-hmm.
even if the disc doesn't slide all the way back, then it's tough for me to talk about. If I can never wrestle again because my discs aren't right, that's okay. That's like, I'll be able to handle that as long as my strength is back and I'm able to like lift weights, because at this point, that's all my life consists of, is wrestling and weights, and I can't lose both.
Yeah.
Like, going to the gym is my therapy.
Yeah.
Just like wrestling is my therapy. I'm like, I can't lose both things.
Yeah.
I was like, so I'm going to try this rehab, and hopefully I can at least get back in the gym. And, if I'm able to get back in the wrestling ring, then fantastic.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm able to get back in the gym, and that's made me at least a little bit happy. And that's pretty much what's going to bring us to the announcement tonight.
Yeah. So, Yeah, because I remember me going, because we've had conversations, because I've gone through, like I knew when I had to take time off, I knew it in the match. Like I took a body slam, something real simple, and I remember a spot on my back that has always given me trouble, like near my spine, where everything, like your shoulder, everything kind of connects. And I remember taking a body slam from Gustavo at like a TASW show, and my body just shockwaves. And in the midst of a match, like
Yeah.
adrenaline's kicking, so it shouldn't, and it did, and I was not the same.
Yeah.
And I remember for like the next 2 weeks, kind of the same thing, couldn't sleep, nothing worked.
Yeah.
Like I think I could sleep like this for a little while, like it just was horrible. And then trying to do all the rehab techniques that I had known, and trying to hide it from people. Like my girlfriend would be around, I couldn't do it with her around because I just didn't want anyone to know, you know, because that's the hardest thing, you know. She's only known me through wrestling, so, and I mean maybe an hour a day of sleep, maybe. And when I went to the doctor's pretty direct, like given your age, the wear and tear, we did x-rays, so like we could try to do other stuff. They're like, luckily structurally there's nothing out of the ordinary for what you do, but I would shut it down, and as opposed to being stubborn, I just went, crap, I'll just shut it down. Maybe rest will do it. But yeah, like had surgery, and surgery was on the table, but they're like, let's do rehab, then we'll do injections, then we'll, you know, you can try acupuncture, like they try to give me a list of stuff. And luckily the rehab kind of got me to a point where I could work out again, and then I could start. But yeah, as soon as I heard the word surgery on the neck, I'm kind of like you, like I've avoided the knife for the most part, with the exception, even my knee, like I've gone and doctors are like, it's, you know, at some point you're gonna have to get it taken care of. And I've talked to guys who've had knee surgery, and they're like, I'm just never the same. They're like, you're never gonna be right. They're like, you're more prone. It's just such a weight. I think the biggest thing for me was, man, I fell into like the depths of depression at that point. Because I literally, I remember having to go to a couple of companies because I was like a champion, and telling them, like just handing a belt and going, I'll make an announcement, but I'm not even thinking about getting in a ring. Like at that point, same thing, I couldn't really, you know, like this was comfortable, I was always hunched over, like the idea of being perfect posture just wouldn't work. What really scared me was, I would wake up and my limbs, like, you know, if your arm goes to sleep, hand goes, like all of it was like from like knees to the toes, from like here, and I would wake up going, man, what am I doing? Like I'm thinking of how old I am, like man, what, you know, if I ever have kids, like all these thoughts. Wrestling was the last thing, but it was so, like I didn't have that to, like even like the camaraderie too, because as opposed to trying to figure out who I could talk to about it, I just kind of secluded myself. You know, I think I had a conversation with Book after all that, and like toward when the discussion about becoming a producer, and in part hit our conversation, because he was kind of in the same boat, like I think as you, like surgery, I could continue to do it, but what would be the point? Because once you get surgery, you're never going to be the same, and you're always going to have in the back of your head, like, man, it's just one bump. Like I think even after that point, when I felt like I got the bill of health, I was doing yoga and all that, like even in matches, anytime I take a body slam, there would be that momentary, like deep breath, like, okay, is it all going to go wrong? Am I going to be in pain? Like, man, that would just mess with my head too. Just even training like that. So yeah, I can definitely. But I mean, your story outside of that. I mean, being from Australia, like how. What's the wrestling scene in Australia like?
Well, it's changed a lot since I've started coming over here.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually improved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started out, like maybe, I started out. I'm not gonna plug the place where I started out
Okay.
because the promoter / the guy who originally trained me doesn't deserve any sort of plugs.
Okay.
Some stuff he's done in the last few years. But the company I started out in was actually probably one of the best companies in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, we were drawing 500, 600 people
Mm-hmm.
to shows. It was and we had a lot of guys who, were working on their body, number one. Number two, had good looking gear.
Mm-hmm.
And three, actually worked on entertaining the crowd rather than just going out there and doing a whole bunch of moves, which is what Australian wrestling had become at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those guys, I feel are responsible for why, at least New South Wales, which is the state I'm from, that Sydney is in, why New South Wales wrestling has actually picked up. And they're running a company called Nui Pro Wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing really good things over there. Some of my best friends are working for those companies, and it's really picking up. It's great wrestling. And then on the other side, of the country, even there's been guys who have been traveling to Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and then other guys are traveling to America and actually trying to learn. Whereas I think kind of before I started, it was a lot of just maybe a couple of guys that'd gone overseas and they'd learn, and then they were just training people, and then they would break away and they'd start training people, and it's like, well, what are you really learning?
Yeah.
It was a lot of companies were just backyard guys.
Okay.
And
It sounds like Texas.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, when you travel, you're like, wow, this is everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in Australia, it was mainly backyard wrestling.
Okay.
Until maybe 10 years ago, people started traveling and started saying okay, this is not right. We need and a lot of people started getting in the gym and getting their bodies right. So it wasn't just a bunch of skinny kids or fat guys on shows.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of people working hard and putting in the time to actually learn the craft.
Mm-hmm.
And not just go out there and do moves, but actually entertain the crowd. And so there's a lot of great places in Australia that are starting to pop up, and we're starting to see with guys like TMDK,
Yeah.
who just they were in Pro Wrestling Noah for so long,
Mm-hmm.
and they used to go back to South Australia and I think Perth as well, and they would teach what they learned to people.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys I trained under, Jay Law, he actually was in Dragon Gate for a few months, and he had an opportunity to go back and just with how his life was going, he decided not to, but he was in Dragon Gate and was actually there when Neville
Oh, okay.
or Puck was there.
Ooh.
I know where that.
Okay.
So so I learned a lot from him, and I would always pick his brain. Well, what are they doing over there? And, so I think it's just a lot of people have taken that route of, okay, some of the people in Australia, the main guys, all right, they've taught us what they know, but there's so much more out there.
Mm-hmm.
So now, guys go to England, guys go to Japan, and being from Australia, we're not afraid to travel.
Yeah.
In Australia, I think it's 80% of Australians have their passport,
Mm-hmm.
and when we go on vacation for a long time because we're so far away from everything.
Yeah.
If we're doing a week holiday, we're gonna go to Thailand or Bali or one of the little Asian countries, Vietnam even. But if we decide we're gonna go to Europe or England or America, oh no, that's gotta be a 3-4 week trip because we're traveling.
Yeah.
For me, it's a 15-hour flight from Sydney to Dallas.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to England, it's 12 hours to Dubai and then 7 hours to England. So it's just, if you're going to travel that far, make something out of it.
Yeah.
So that's just the kind of route that a lot of guys have taken. No one seems to be, like, a lot of guys are not afraid to just go out there and learn from new places. And it's starting to show in our product. There are a lot of great wrestlers in Australia now, and even in the cruiserweight champion,
Cruiserweight Classic. I think, yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah.
And even in the Cruiserweight Classic, you have Damien Slater.
Okay.
It's, it's growing. Like, guys are starting to take wrestling serious.
Yeah.
And it's starting to show. So, I mean, going back to me starting out, I probably started in a good place because it was very, like the main promoter, he was the trainer, and then he had another guy who was, that helped train as well. So on weeks he couldn't be there, the other guy would take it. Well, the head trainer, he was very just spot, wrestling, lucha. Like, so that was great. And then the guy underneath him knew he's wrestling, like he watched, he used to wrestle with Bill Flyswat. And he knew his wrestling. He watched so much Japanese wrestling, American wrestling, lucha. He watched everything. So he was very smart in teaching what we weren't learning from our head trainer. So we had him teaching us. And then there was another guy, Paul, wrestled as JT Robinson. He wasn't about wrestling. He's like, you can go out there and you can do 15 moves and the crowd will sit there silent. He's like, I'll go out there, I'll do an ass spot where someone pulls on my tights and my butt falls out, and I'll get the biggest pop of the night. He's like, that's honestly the truth. Unless you know how to make it work and entertain people, none of this spots mean anything. So he was already like wise to that. And so you had almost 3 different angles being taught to you. So I feel it was a very good place to start. And it's unfortunate that's going downhill. JT's going off and he's doing other things, and Bill Flyswat is just going back to being Dylan, and he's being a normal life. But I feel it was a really good place to start, and I love, I would say, the mainstay great wrestlers of New South Wales right now originally came from there. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then, other ones have decided to then, again, travel overseas, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of us have this mentality of, we go overseas, we learn something, we come back, like, hey, here's what I learned. It's not, oh, well, I don't want to teach this to them because then they'll be as good as me. And I don't want, a lot of people don't have that mentality. I feel that's what has helped take it to the level it's at today.
Okay. So, speaking of going overseas, you come to Texas. What was it, Booker, that prompted you to come to Texas, or what actually brought you to Texas?
Well, I wanted to do something. So, my parents said they'd send me somewhere for my 21st birthday. So I had all this money saved up for my own savings, but they would pay for the actual trip.
Okay.
And, I was doing chemical engineering at the time. I needed something that could be just for me, a nice little break. And I was wrestling at the time, and I just thought I should do a wrestling trip. And at first I was like looking at going to Japan, but I didn't want to go on my own. I couldn't find anyone that would could go with me. I thought, well, maybe I should look at American School or Lance Storm School. A lot of people were talking about Lance Storm School at the time. And we had this guy from New Zealand come to one of our shows, and his name was Roger Ventura.
Okay.
And he had just come back from box. And he was this short, pretty short dude, well built, and I thought he was great. Like, entertaining wise, he was great. People talked to him, and he gave a lot of credit towards Booker teaching him the entertaining side of wrestling. I was like, that sounds like a good idea. Maybe I should check that out. 3 months there. Why not? Like, to me, because at the time, before he even brought it up, I didn't know Booker had a school. I was like, why well, why do not more people know about this? Like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Book a tea, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, that was it. So I sent an email along, got the reply back and said, yeah, you know, we have a hookup at this hotel, so you can stay there, and, you know, this is where the school is, and just let us know what dates you're going to come. I was like, alright. So, during the Australian summer, which of course, winter over here, I came December through to February for, I'd say, 10 weeks.
Okay.
10 weeks I came here. On my second day in Houston, I opened up the curtains and it was snowing outside, to which I sat there and was like, oh no, I didn't prepare for snow. I didn't realize they had snow here. What am I going to do? And then when I finally left the hotel room and everyone was freaking out because it was snowing, I realized, like, oh, this isn't a normal thing. Like, no, this is crazy. And I was like, oh, okay. So, but yeah, I spent 10 weeks here and just learned so much, changed so much of what I did, and like realized that, like, yeah, like, you know, some of the stuff we learned in Australia just isn't right, because, guys, you know, no one really had been to the top.
Yeah.
You know, no one had really been in a position to really learn stuff, at least from where I was from.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. So I went home, and that's exactly what I did. Like, I got the other trainees, and I was like, hey, this is, you know, a better way to do this, and a better way to do that, and I just taught them all the stuff that I had learned.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just helping to progress the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have traded my experience here for anything.
Yeah.
For those 10 weeks.
So, and that was prior to Reality of Wrestling, the rebranding and all that. So,
Yes.
Because once it rebranded, I had been around for the PWA days, and it was a complete night and day. You know, no storylines, no like alliances came and went month to month. You know, you would bring in names. We're at the Pasadena Convention Center. It was completely different. And then I had kind of left for a bit. Call it ego, call it pride, call it just needing, you know, a change of pace or whatever have you. And then Kevin, the voice of God, had told me that he was that they were going to rebrand, and at the time we were doing a web series, and the whole purpose of the web series was to try to find. It was me and Justin Smith with Dojo Productions. We had worked together on another project, another wrestling company that had created some buzz, but a lot of it was because of video production and the talent. Like I was the showrunner and host by necessity. I'd rather not have even been in front of the camera. I wanted to be behind the scenes. But it helped me because I could help get the talent over, and I just was like, no one's teaching television. Booker wasn't teaching television because we weren't filming.
Yeah.
And that's where me and Kevin really worked hand in hand. Him as talent, me as kind of, again, running the show. But after that, me and Justin kind of weren't doing any wrestling projects, and then we thought, well, let's analyze the business, because at that point, like, Botchamania's really kind of climbed, and we were trying to figure out what makes a good show. We went to some really bad shows, went to shows that canceled, we went to grand opening, grand closing, and then the idea was, okay, well, we've got to find a place where, you know, we can really help create something great. And the whole time, like when I first came to book, I had mentioned YouTube, and I mentioned, you know, getting on the internet and all that. And it was kind of, you know, I was new to books about big on trust and all that, so it just wasn't proper timing. And then Kevin and I had a conversation. He was like, yeah, we're rebranding to this reality wrestling stuff. And he was like, we are going to do a lot of filming. They were looking for video production. We were doing our behind the curtain show. I remember having a sit down, like a interview with Book, just to kind of see. And at that point, he's like, well, you know, after we filmed, he's like, you know, if you want to, I'd like to have you back. You know, and I remember knowing at that point that the biggest problem with a lot of indie companies, most of them don't think about television. They don't think about video production. Like, it's just another expense, and they're like, man, I've just got to worry about the talent. And now you want me to add another expense, which is probably going to be double what, or, at least the amount that I would pay talent, I've got to pay video production. But that, and of course, having a financial backer that's not going to go anywhere. And then, truthfully, having someone that has that kind of knowledge, that's been somewhere and continues to be somewhere, and continues to be kind of under that learning tree. Because, I mean, honestly, you hang out with Vince McMahon enough, or hang out with that, with that machine, it's just like, you can't help but get better. And just everything that Kevin had kind of discussed, I was just like, man, I just want to be on board in any capacity. I didn't really care, because I like being creative. I like the producing aspect. I kind of knew my career, I was smart, because especially after the scare, I was kind of like, I never want to have to go through that again. I want to kind of write my own story and be smart. Like, if it gets to a point where it's just too taxing, then I still have a brain, don't get burned out by it. So in the reality wrestling concept, because it was different, because I remember one of the first times that you and I had actually met was at that bar where we did, it was kind of like one of the early episodes. It's not even on YouTube anymore. It's, we were, it was the reality of wrestling. I remember I remember distinctly outside of that, the bar fight, which we'll get into in a minute, but I remember Brian having to do, and this was the first time that the concept that came about where Book just didn't want a Ryan Davidson promo. He's like, I want the person outside of Ryan Davidson. And Ryan and he's great on the mic, and I mean, I consider one of the best promo guys I've ever come across. But I know, like, that realistic turn, it's tough to, like, switch to that and try not to be like the tried and true wrestling promo. And Book would be like, cut, that's not what I want this. And I remember just going, seriously, this could be something big. But okay, the bar fight, what came, because you got in Charmel's good graces out of that, right?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. So basically what happened was, I came back here in like 2011 before the brand. Was before they rebranded. I did one show for PWA. I was just here for a few weeks because I went to Chicago beforehand. I was planning to go there afterward as well. And I had been up to Toronto and did some training up there just because I wanted to see what was around. Like, again, just try and learn something.
Yeah.
And down here I was talking to my buddy Paul that I was talking about earlier, and because he used to work within the company. And, he kind of just said to me, he's like, do you actually want to do this, or you just, I was like, I mean, I'd love to, but it's just real hard, being in Australia. And he's like, well, why don't you move over here? And I was like, it's not that simple just to move over here. He's like, well, what do you need to do? I was like, I don't know. I was like, well, shouldn't you know? I was like, alright, that's a really good point. I graduated by this point, so I went back and I found this visa that would allow me to come over for a year.
Okay.
Like, alright, let's just give it a shot. Let's just give it a shot for a year, see what comes of it. So just before I was about to come back to Houston, I saw PWA shut down.
Yeah.
And everyone was talking about PWA shutting down because, as I found out later, they didn't know that there was going to be...
No, I think, it was... I mean, I wasn't around at that point, but I do recall, like, no one knew. Everyone assumed the doors were closed, and I think in actuality the doors were closed. Like, Book, prior to the whatever inspired him for reality wrestling, it was like, it's kind of ran its course, because it's
absolutely. Like, so I saw that, and like, so I'm scrambling for the next 2 weeks because I'm like, I'm about to move to this city, and they don't have anything there. And like, so I messaged Paul. I was like, why didn't you like tell me? He's like, no, it's all good. Just come. I was like, okay. And then, like, I think the day before I left, they announced they were rebranding and it's going to be Reality of Wrestling. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, because like I think I even made the joke to Ryan once, and I was just like, yeah, you jerks, like all posting like it was closing, and like had me worried. And he's like, oh buddy, no, we all thought it was closing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, so I got here, and yeah, sure enough, so I was here for the first show, and I think the second show I had a match against Cedric, and just the way I was circling, I remember Book was on commentary, and he's like, yeah, this kid Rob Barnes, you know, he's a fighter from Australia, and you know, you can see he's a fighter. He's got those long arms, that long reach, and I think that just stuck with him, because then, yeah, it was only like a couple weeks later, you know, we're doing this, shooting promos in a bar, and the only one that actually got used on TV was he gathered us around. He's like, yo, we're gonna shoot some stuff tonight, and I want someone to get in a bar fight. And he's like, and just looks at me, and he's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be you guys. And I was like, okay. And so yeah, it was, you know, we got some random guy who was like a friend of one of the other wrestlers to, you know, I'm standing at the bar just chilling, having a drink, and comes in, bumps me, knocks my beer, and like, hey, you just spilled my beer. And you know, he fronts up to me, and I front up to him, and then everyone kind of just like separates us and stuff like that, and they're just like, oh yeah, no, it's good, we're gonna use that, you know, because you're a bar fighter. Like I remember Book saying, you're a bar fighter, you're dirty, you're a bar fighter. And I was like, okay, and like up at that point, you know, before those two shows that he used that footage, and like the show before that he had called me a fighter, before that I like barely threw punches. I never I'd throw a forearm here and there, I'd throw a punch here and there, but like I was very like, you know, I tried to be very, you know, I guess like a little more technical, and work with body part and like all this kind of stuff, and like especially like as a heel, like I was like, oh, okay, he wants me to be a fighter, so it's like, all right. So like I actually just changed everything I was doing at that point. I was like, no, I mean, if I'm gonna be a bar fighter, I'll accept it. I'm gonna be a bar fighter. So I started really practicing my punches at training and stuff like that. And it wasn't until like the tapings after that promo had aired, Shamel comes out, she's like, I just like looked at her, I was like, I'm sorry. Like I really hadn't had any interaction with Shamel up until this point. Then maybe like a hello, and she starts on. She's like, "Hey, you just spilled my beer." I was like, "Are you quoting me?" And she like burst out laughing, and like she grabbed her book and she's like, "Make him say the beer line." And Book's like, "Oh yeah, that was pretty good." And, like starts laughing, and I was like, and then they both walk off just laughing, and then from that day on, like Shamel was always coming up and saying hello. Yeah, just I don't know, just won me over, I guess.
Nice. So, one of your early highlights with the company, a highlight for anyone, winning the heavyweight title. You won it. You beat Rockstar Robbie, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he can be named. Yeah. At least here you can.
Technically, on the website, I'm the first champion.
Oh wow! Nice. Well, there's a little trivia. So okay, technically you are the officially in our history books you are the first. You were the first champion. But what was it like winning the title?
It was kind of surreal. I've never been a big person about titles and stuff like that. Like I won a couple of titles back in Australia. I never took it as a serious point. I'm like, oh, well, I'm the champion. I just kept on doing what I was doing. So when they told me like, oh, we're gonna, you Book's really enjoying your work. He likes the fact that your body's changing, like you're actually working and like you're getting bigger. So he wants to put the title on you. And I was just like, oh, wow, okay. And then like, so what we're going to do is we're going to have you do a non-title match in November. And then in December, you'll get, because you'll win the non-title match. In December, you'll fight for the championship and you'll win that as well. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that that sounds great. I remember one condition that Book had because I was wearing like the short tights at the time. He's like, you gotta get into trunks. Like he's like, those short tights aren't working. I don't like them. So I actually went out and I got a couple of pairs of trunks, and one had the Sydney Opera House on it, and the other pair had a boxing kangaroo on it, which has pretty much become my staple for all my tights, just because people enjoyed it so much. But yeah, so I turned up that November show with my tights, and I was getting ready to go out there, and everyone's walking up and saying, "Hey man, yeah, have a good match." Like everybody, I'm going, why is everybody coming up and wishing me luck? Like they don't normally. Like is it just because I'm in the main event? Like whatever. I wasn't thinking about it, and it wasn't until I'm standing there with Robbie and whoever was the announcer announced the matches for the Row Heavyweight Championship. And I was like, oh man, I messed up. This is supposed to be a non-title match. And Robbie's just like, I mean, it's like, nah bro, they pull this all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And then I found out later, like, it was Book's classic rib of like, let's not tell them they're winning the title, and then just throw it on them.
Yeah.
I was like,
because he wants the reaction to be genuine. I having been a guy who pulled that on a guy winning a title, like the guy doing the honors knows, the ref knows right before. I don't even tell the locker room. No one knows because I'm like, I want to see how that person will react. Of course, they always like, did I mess up?
Yeah.
Is it gonna get screamed at?
Well, apparently no one told Stash. No one even told Stash I was going over in the match, and then like I realized like he didn't even come up and ask what the finish was. I guess he was just assuming that Rockstar was gonna go over.
Yeah.
So I go out there and Rockstar follows, and we do our thing, and I hit the move I was using at the time, which I think we've been calling the down under driver when I've hit it since coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I hooked it 1, 2, 3, and Stash to his credit, he counted 3 because Robbie didn't kick out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stash just kind of leans in and was like, "Were you supposed to go over?" I was like, "Yes, Stash, I was." And he's like, "Oh, good." And like I was like, "Man, and that's where I hit him. I'm like, "Yeah, you didn't even ask us what the finish was." And so I held up the tile and stuff like that, and went to the back, and found out Book hated the match, absolutely hated it. And I didn't really understand why, and it took me a little bit to realize. I don't think it was until I actually did the match at Christmas Chaos, so the rematch, and I was heading into that event going, he's probably going to put it back on Robbie, because he was so upset at the match that we had. And he did. He told us, no, you're still going to go over, and I discussed some stuff with him, made sure the match was going to go the way he wanted. And we had a great match. And looking back on it, I can totally see the difference. And it wasn't until doing that match and getting the compliments from Book that I realized, okay, here's the problem. I did a good match with Robbie in November, but it wasn't a great match. It wasn't a main event match. It wasn't a title match.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was holding, and I looked and I was like, I was holding back a little because it wasn't the title match in my head until that moment. I was like, but every main event should still be a main event.
Irregardless.
That's what the problem was. I didn't treat it as a main event because I was just thinking, it's a non-title match. Well, guess what? It wasn't. It was a title match. And that may happen to you in WWE. But that might just throw that on you. So I was like, okay, I get it now. So that was absolutely it. And I really appreciated the opportunity, and it was, like I said, I've won titles before, but they didn't really mean a lot. That meant something, because I went from, the first show I was at was a dark match with Kevin to just, lose to, put Cedric over. I was like, all right, put Cedric over, and she was impressed with that. And then I did the whole SmackDown thing, and I put over Jinder Mahal, and in a handicap match, and then got hit by Ryback,
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then came to the next show and they used me to put over a guy that had been signed by the WWE and like he'd only just started training, but like I had to have his first match and
Mm-hmm.
you know, so it was like kind of, I guess I was just like really building trust from Booker to then just win, here's the title.
Yeah.
And like it was the first time that I really saw like, oh, like I've earned this.
Yeah.
This isn't just, you know, he's not just giving this to anybody. He's not just, you know, I'm not just the flavor of the month. Like, I've earned this.
Mm-hmm.
And now, you know, after realizing I blew the first title match, I was like, he expects me to earn this every time I go out there. And that's how I started looking at it. I actually gave the same advice to Gino when he won the belt. I was like, if Book's giving you this belt, it's for a reason.
Yeah.
So he trusts you. It's like, so don't let any, because you know, it was something I had to tell myself. You know, don't let anyone be negative about it. Don't let anything affect you. Do what you need to do and prove to people every time you go out here why you're the champion.
Yeah.
And I feel like for the most part, I did that as champion for the company, and it just, I mean, it was a fun time.
Yeah.
It was, you know, I was getting to work with a lot of different people, and it was, you know, we were getting really good crowds at the time, and people hated me.
Yeah.
Even to the point where, like, because they kind of knew I was leaving, because we'd done an interview where I'd said, you know, I was only here for a year, and when I lost the title, I guess people knew, like, oh,
Yeah.
he's leaving, and they actually did the whole na shouting at me, and I was just very emotional because I was like, this is a real thing. Like, I really do have to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not, you're like, it's not a storyline.
Yeah, it's not just storyline.
Yeah.
Like, it is very legitimate. I'm going home.
Yeah.
You know, fast forward 18 months later, I make a return, and these same people are chanting "Welcome back," and I was like, "No, you were happy I was leaving."
Yeah, it's how it's right. They're like, we need to go miss you. You need to leave so we can miss you.
And you know, I mean, that's exactly what Kevin said. He's like, "Well, that's the thing. Like, when you were here, you were the heel that everyone loved to hate,
Yeah.
and then when you were gone, it was like, kind of miss doing that."
Yeah.
And so that's turned into cheer. That turned into cheers. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny how that worked out. Book was really spun out. He's like, he wasn't sure. He's like, I don't think you'll work as a babyface. And then that first match, he was just like, they hated him. I'm like, what is going on here? So, no, it's very cool.
So, yeah, you were gone for about 18 months. How have the company changed? I mean, because it is, I mean, you look at it now compared to those early days or like that Christmas chaos that could have been, I remember like that Christmas chaos where, I mean, like November was kind of a light crowd, and, you know, given my position, I could talk to Kevin, kind of get his feel, and it was like, you could tell the crowd just wasn't there, and we were just kind of like going, man, and then for some reason Christmas chaos like blew up. We just had this phenomenal, and then it carried over to January, but it's grown so. I mean, slowly but surely grown. Now we're in the new arena, which is just a godsend, I think, for everybody. I mean, considering at the time that we're filming this, normally we would be, if it was Clear Lake, we would be setting up and screaming at people to get chairs and all that.
Yeah, that would be me screaming at people.
Angry Rob. Angry Rob.
Yeah,
I love Angry Rob, man. There are times where I'm like, I wish more guys were angry. I would always tell Ryan, like, you should be pissed off too, man. We can't all be nice. Like, stuff has to get done. And you know.
Hey, you know, like sometimes I would get angry, and you know, it scared a couple of some guys, and I was like, I'm only yelling because you're standing around doing nothing. You know, like if you're not doing nothing, I wouldn't be yelling at you. So you know. Anyway.
But yeah, how are you liking the growth? I mean, being you know, one of the original guys with reality wrestling, being on the last PWA show to now, how are you feeling about the growth of the company and television and all that?
I mean, before I came back over, they had already moved over to TV. You know, I was very good friends with the Lockharts, so I still kept in contact with them, and we chat every now and then, and they're talking about the progression. And I would occasionally watch the YouTube shows. Just I was a little spiteful that I was sitting at home, so I didn't follow it as religiously as I probably should have.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, like I said, it was a little depressing for me watching it. But yeah, it was just, I was, occasionally I watched an episode, especially if the Lockharts were on it, and I was just like, man, the production, every single show just is getting better and better. And then I came back, and I think 1 or 2 shows into me being back, we had the new light trusses.
Yeah.
So we could switch out the main lights, and we just had these lights focusing in on the ring, and so I was like, oh, I mean, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
look at this. And then, and then from that, we're like, oh, we're getting that arena, and we got, we're moving to CW, and, we got to have our own arena. And like, I mean, I'm not even, I don't really have cable or anything like that, so I shouldn't even know what, like, I'd never heard of Solid South or anything like that, but even I knew CW just because I was an Arrow fan.
Yeah.
I was like, and a Supernatural fan.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's the same network that, like, Arrow and Supernatural on. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a name that, like, I even say that to people in Australia, like, oh, it's on the CW network, and if they're savvy to those kind of shows, they go, oh, isn't that the network that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Like right now we're just in Houston, but I mean, it really gives you an opportunity to expand. So it's crazy
Mm-hmm.
how things have kind of snowballed.
Yeah.
Just, from just the simple YouTube show.
Yeah, yeah.
And now there's the production, and they have you working with us, and they have we're getting advice from Bruce Pritchard, and like
Man, which is just another. I mean, it's one thing to have Book, and then even have Stevie and some of the people with real experience, especially like those PWA days where Shelton Benjamin would show up, just the Undertaker would show up, like occasional guy, Rob Van Dam would show up and all that. But honestly, to have Bruce Pritchard, a guy that just, I mean, I consider him a genius, just to be able to pick his brain and realize, like, just what he notices that even if I'm watching it, I may not notice that stuff, but that it makes such a difference,
He's looking at it just from a totally different perspective as anyone else, or like to Booker even. So like you can get some advice from Booker, and Bruce can give you completely different advice.
Yeah.
He wasn't looking at it the way, because Book's still looking at it as the work. And Bruce just completely different perspective. So having him helping out is just amazing too. So it's like the way it's grown has been pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I haven't been able to work, it's I've enjoyed being able to sit back and watch the shows and listen to the critique that's being dished out
Mm-hmm.
month in, month out.
So as we wrap up, tonight's the night. You're going to make the announcement one way or the other, and I'm not going to spoil it because really, man, it's an important decision one way or the other. I'm not sure how you're swaying. I just want, as we close out, how are you feeling today physically?
Probably the important thing is I'm not on any drugs. I can say that completely seriously. Like I'm not on any muscle relaxers. I'm not on any painkillers. I don't even need ibuprofen anymore. So that to me is a victory in itself. The strength in my arm is slowly coming back, which is good. Very slow, but it's coming back. So it's like, okay, at least now I can start getting back into the gym. So I feel a little more myself at this point. So I'm doing well. I think I'm happy with the decision that I'm making, and even though some people don't agree with it or whatever, it's my decision to make.
Yeah.
And, I think I'm happy with it.
Well, man, having been a guy in in that position, man, no one can make that decision for you. I got all the respect any which way you go. Health first and foremost, you know, because realistically, this is the only body we have until they come up with a robot that you can put your consciousness in. This is what we have to deal with, limitations and all. But man, I wish you the best of luck and continued safe travels, man. Out of the way.